Hello guys, welcome to another session of Mr. Oshodi's Snapchat Science. Now today what we're going to be looking at is inheritance. And you inherited genetic traits from your mother or your father. Just going to link in a little bit with that video we did with meiosis. So the first thing I want you guys to do before we get started is pause the video and see if you can unscramble any of the keywords that are going to help us with today's lesson. Pause the video, unscramble. Right, so hopefully you paused that video, so let's look at some of these keywords. So, the first one was chromosomes, then we had genes, Punnett square, allele, DNA, and gametes. So what we want to look at is, how do you guys inherit genetic characteristics, okay, from your parents? So guys, if we're talking about the cell, you guys all know about the structure of the cell now. Cells contain a nucleus, and inside that nucleus, it contains genetic information that codes for your characteristics. Now, inside your nucleus, they have chromosomes. Now, going back to our mitosis video, how many chromosomes are inside the nucleus? There are 46 or 23 pairs. Now, along these chromosomes are sections of DNA, okay? And these sections of DNA are known as our genes. And it's really these genes that we're going to look at today in terms of inheritance and how it codes for maybe our eye color, our hair color. Don't look at my lack of it, okay? And how that affects us moving forward. So let's have a look, okay? So we've already answered this question. Inside our normal skin cells or our normal human cells, there are 46 or 23 pairs. The only exception to that is our gametes or our sex cells, in which there are 23 chromosomes only, okay? So let's look at this now. Now, let's start with looking at our sex chromosomes. So as we said, there are 23 pairs of chromosomes. Now, our sex chromosomes are the 23rd pair of chromosomes, and those are our X or our Y chromosomes, okay? Now, it's really up to your father in terms of whether you are a boy or whether you are a girl. So let's look at how this can be affected, okay? So, guys, what we're going to look at now, and you're going to see a lot of this in the next 10 minutes, is a genetic diagram. And this genetic diagram is used in your biology exam to ask you to work out the probability. Work out the probability of this couple having a boy or a girl. Work out the probability of this couple's child having, let's say, brown eyes, okay? So let's look at that now. So first of all, let's look at the probability of a couple having a boy or a girl. So, this is our Punnett square. Now, the way that our Punnett squares are worked is we'll put one individual, okay, so let's say this is our father, let's say this is our mother, okay, because this is XX. Don't forget, we looked at XX stands for, means you're a girl, okay, so this row is for the mother, and XY over here, it means you're a boy, okay, so let's look at the probability of this couple having a girl or a boy. So, with a Punnett square, what you do is you literally go along, okay, and you match up the two boxes that come into contact with each other, okay? So as you can see, I've matched up the boxes. Now, this Punnett square shows me that this couple has a 50% chance of having either a boy, okay, or a girl, alright? And what we want to look at is this the case for every characteristic? Is there a 50% chance of you having, let's say, brown hair, okay? So let's go in and start looking. Now, the characteristics that are coded for your genes are really endless, okay? It could be, for example, tongue rolling, like that, whether you can roll your tongue. It could be eye color. It could be whether you have a cleft chin. It could be whether you have sickle cell, okay? They're really coded for everything about you, coded for by your genes, all right? Now, a characteristic is controlled by two forms of the same gene. Right, and now we're going to start to look at keywords that you guys need to understand before we can actually look at working out the probability of inheriting a, let's say, for example, whether you can roll your tongue or not. So, let's look at these keywords. The first one is allele. Now, an allele is different versions of the same gene, okay? And you're really going to look at alleles later on in the video, okay? The next one is phenotype. Phenotype is the physical appearance of an organism. So, for example, your eye color, okay? Your phenotype of your eye color, let's say your eye color is blue, your phenotype will be like blue eyes, okay? Let's look at genotype. Now, your genotype is the set of genes, or alleles, don't forget we said alleles are different versions of the same gene, that you have inherited from your parents. Homozygous, homo, don't forget homo means the same. So homo is when two alleles are identical or the same, and we have heterozygous. Hetero means opposite or different, okay? When two alleles are different, okay? So now let's go and look at, okay, what all of this means. What you guys can do is pause this video, make your notes on these key terms, okay, and then we can go on and use them later on in this video. So pause the video, make your notes. Okay, now the last two key terms that we want to look at for today are dominant or recessive alleles. Now, a dominant allele, don't forget an allele is a different version of the same gene, okay? So a dominant allele is an allele which controls the characteristic whenever it is present, okay? And a recessive allele, if you were to have a recessive allele, you would need two of that allele, or two of that gene, in order for you to have that certain characteristic. So for example, all dominant alleles are coded for by a capital letter, okay? So this is a dominant allele, this is a dominant allele, so is this. This is not a dominant allele because it is lowercase, and therefore it must be recessive, okay? So it must be a recessive allele. So, guys, if you look at this dominant, so two capital B's, this is a homozygous genotype. Homo because they are the same, homozygous, and a genotype because this is the genes that you have inherited, okay? This is the genotype, okay? This is a heterozygous genotype, okay? Now, in terms of these two, let's say this dominant allele coded for you having brown hair, okay? Let's say B is brown hair. Now, if having a dominant B meant that you had brown hair, both of these individuals would have brown hair because in terms of how it works, the dominant allele always wins the struggle over the recessive allele. So you only need one dominant allele in order for you to end up having, in this example, brown hair, okay? Now, this individual down here will not have brown hair because he has got two recessive alleles, and therefore this individual might have, I don't know, let's say this individual now has black hair, okay? So let's look at what having a dominant allele and what having a recessive allele means in terms of inheritance, and how they might ask you in your exam. So, one key thing, okay, they're going to ask you what's the probability of an individual having, let's say for example in this case, dimples. So, the first thing they will ask you to do is draw your genetic diagram. Your genetic diagram is going to be your Punnett square. So you've drawn out your Punnett square. One individual, let's say this is the father, has two homozygous alleles, okay? And one individual, let's say this is the mother, has two homozygous alleles as well. However, the father is homozygous dominant, the mother is homozygous recessive. Okay? Now, always read into the question because they will give you snippets of information that will help you in order to draw out your Punnett square. So it says the allele for dimples is a dominant allele. So if you have dimples, okay, or a dominant D, a capital D, means it's for dimples. Okay? Now, what we want to do, just like we did with whether you're a boy or a girl, is work out the probability of this couple having a dominant, having a child with dimples. So, as we did before, we match up. So, here we have a heterozygous genotype because it's one dominant, one recessive. Don't forget, heterozygous key term means different, okay? Here we have again another heterozygous. Now, if you look, this couple has a 100% chance of having a child with dimples because each time, although there is a recessive allele in there, because there's a dominant allele in there, okay, each one of them, okay, it must mean that the dominant allele always wins the struggle, and therefore the probability of having a child with dimples is 100%.